when we look at this Bristol dirt experiment here, do you think NASCAR and SMI should continue with this dirt track in the spring every year, or revert back to concrete, or even reduce Bristol to just one night races in the fall with that philosophy that we should only go to every track one time? What do you think we should do with this spring Bristol date moving forward?
I shouldn't be given this power because I have no idea. There's pitfalls to all options here. I think if we continue with this dirt track, SMI seems to be okay with it, but I don't. I'm with you, Ben. We talked about this before the show. I don't understand the satisfaction and the logistics that they have to face here every year. Just building this dirt track, ripping it apart for the night race in September or October or August, and then prepare for it again, then tear it down. That's a lot of moving dirt back and forth for a place that's not a purpose-built permanent dirt facility. They're capable of doing it. They have done it for the past 3 years, and it's been, in my opinion, the last 2 years have been a really enjoyable product. And we'll get to that later. I mean, it's not, is it pure dirt racing? Is it what we see at Knoxville Nationals or Eldora with late models and sprints? No, it's not. It's stock cars, which aren't meant to be on dirt, going on dirt, which is entertaining to me because they're not supposed to be there. And that's what makes it fun. And I think they know that. SMI knows that too. And that's why it's been so fun. But to get back on the subject here, do you continue with the dirt track? It's the one dirt track on the calendar, and people are arguing whether they think it's a crown jewel race already or not. And I don't know about that yet. And then the other thing I'm seeing here is, well, if you're going to justify this, you need to add more dirt tracks to the calendar because it's silly just to have one all year long. Or you need to do none at all and take it off, revert it to concrete, make the spring race. But you look at the spring race attendance numbers, and they show that that's not a really smart option either for SMI. Reverting to that, people are going to go back to what, like they know what to expect now. It's going to be the you can't make it another night race because that's the crown jewel. So it's going to be a day concrete race at Bristol, and I don't think people are going to show up to that because they showed that the past several years. And reduce Bristol to one night race in the fall. That might be the best option for me, really. As much as I like the dirt racing at Bristol, either bring it somewhere where it's a permanent dirt facility that can handle a cup event or a whole truck cup weekend on Easter weekend, or take the dirt out. But I know in this industry, they're not one to have an idea and then revert from the idea that they had.
You know, I am all for diversifying the schedule as much as possible. I think it's a friend of mine in a group chat was just saying this last night. The fact that we had Kimi Räikkönen and Jenson Button in the Cup race at Coda, and then 2 weeks later we have Jonathan Davenport in the Cup race. I mean, yeah. What other series on this earth are you going to get that much star power and variety in terms of ringers coming into your sport? You know, and we got the street race coming up in Chicago this year. And of course there was that, I think there was a tweet from Adam Stern, I forget if it was yesterday or today, where they're talking about they're already concerned about traffic. So who knows how that's going to go.
Month-long traffic problems in Chicago in July.
On steroids. Yeah, but I think, you know, you have your super speedways, your road courses. You're going to have a street course now. You're racing on dirt, which you hadn't done in, 50 years before we brought it back. So I think in a perfect world, yeah, you know, if we can make it work, I'd love to see a dirt race on the schedule. I think it silences any – there's no debate in terms of what racing series has the most diverse schedule in terms of track types anymore. Now, I mean, the street race was the last thing that NASCAR needed before. I mean, we've got
complete
every kind of track you could. I mean, I guess maybe we got to find a way to do an ice race, right? And they're working on that too with the Euro Series, right? So I mean, there's no doubt that we have the most diverse schedule in racing now. But to your point, I can't imagine the resources that are being used. I mean, how much money does it cost to bring that much dirt? I know it's only a half-mile track, but you pour all that dirt onto the concrete, and then you undo it for the fall race, the night race, and then you come back and you do it again, and then you undo it, and now you've done it again. Now you're going to have to undo it for fall of 23.
And you can't tell me that it doesn't have some sort of wear on the facility itself.
Potential, yeah. I mean, there's that to consider too. My fear is that, like, of course, the spring race was dying, for lack of better terms. When you look at how many people can be seated at that speedway, 160,000 or whatever, and the amount of people that were showing up for spring race, it wasn't 2007 anymore, right? So you brought a lot of interest and curiosity to the spring race because you're doing something different. I wonder if at some point does the dirt race become, the same old thing that we do every year, and the novelty wears off and attendance starts to dip, and then you're pouring all that money and resources in to convert the track again, and what are you getting out of it? I don't know. I just think we'd be better. The show might even be better if we go to a purpose-built dirt track like Eldora. But then again, Eldora could host a truck series. Do they have the facilities to be able to host the NASCAR Cup Series and all the interest and star power that's going to draw in? That's another thing to consider as well.
They would need improvements there, and they would also need some reconciliation with Tony Stewart and NASCAR, because we had that whole debacle where we couldn't even take the trucks there, so we had to go to Knoxville.